Now here's the question of the faux beam. We're going to be doing a beam up on his ceiling that looks like, well, looks like a beam, but it's going to be made out of hollow, or out of pieces. It'll be hollow inside. So these are what I'm looking at using. And the beam has to be probably 14 feet long, 13 or 14, I want to say 14. So these are some pretty big pieces, but they top out at probably about 9 feet. So if we do a seam in the middle, you know, we have two 7-foot pieces. So, oh man, I don't know. So here's what I'm trying to do here is keep color, you know, composition, all that stuff. The way stuff looks, if it looks like it was cut from the same piece of wood, if it looks like, you know, this could actually be the bottom of a beam, then, you know, that's what I'd like to do. And one of the things I really like, but I also don't like because it's kind of challenging, but this where it's kind of dug out, looks like it's been, you know, scathed or whatever, or you know, the bark has come off the tree. That's what a lot of beams would have looked like, rough cut beams. I mean, if you look here in our shop, for example, this is an old barn in Cott County, and this beam's nice and square. You come around here, and what do you see right here? But bark. So, I mean, this was just right on the edge of a tree. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. It'd be cool to keep this looking the same way by including some of that in the bottom of my beam. Now, I've got more wood that I could go pull out of a pile and, you know, make something look like a perfectly cut square beam, but that's not what we're going for. It takes all the fun out of it. So the challenge is picking my pieces, and I'm going to be short one for sure. I'm going to have to get another yellowish colored one, because if I do those as the sides of the beam, these as the bottom of the beam, I think just the shadows and everything in that configuration will make it look pretty natural. If not, we're probably going to give it a coat of something to kind of blend it together anyway. Some of Kevin's grain solution probably. But that's what I'm working on now. I think it's going to be cool. But I got to figure this out. I think it's going to look neat, but let's see what we can do. Woohoo! Oh, hey, it's working. Cool. So, sorry about that. Should have got the lens first. Anyway, yeah. So after looking over this wood, I decided I'm gonna go grab some more pieces. There's definitely some nice stuff in there. Would have had something look pretty good, but it's gonna be up there forever. So I wanted something to look better than just pretty good. So what I decided to do, and I kind of hate to do this too, because there's such big, nice, wide planks, but it's one way to pretty much guarantee that the wood grain looks like it is all one natural beam, because all of the wood grain came from the same board. So I had two other pieces that I was considering using, but the color just wasn't quite right, and they weren't wide enough to do. Because the other thing is, I found out the beam is not just 13; it's going to be 15 foot. So I need to have that extra option available. So anyway, here, I'll turn this around off my face and show you what I'm dealing with. So I decided to go with these. Now I'm gonna have to glue this one back together, and hopefully I don't have to tear it apart to glue it back together, because sometimes the only good way you can get a nice seam on those, it seems like, is if you put some biscuits in there, and the only way you can get some biscuits in there is by tearing it apart or cutting it or whatever. So, and if you're not sure what biscuits are, these are biscuits. So they just look like little flat footballs. And you got a special cutter, cut a groove, a notch in the wood, and then you put one of these in like that on one side of the wood, and then the other side has a notch in it as well, and it slides up against that, and it keeps it from moving back and forth this way, And of course the glue holds it from moving back and forth this way too. So it's a nice little thing you can do to give it some added strength. Usually you don't really need them, especially if you're able to glue them up on a crack like that, because there's so many different variations in the texture, you know, where the crack had happened, that if you get them to line up just right, it's like almost like a what they call a finger joint, where the wood just goes into each other, like 3 fingers here, and then the other 3 fingers lock in. They glue it together, and a lot of times those finger joints are stronger than the actual wood was at that point. Anyway, that's my little lesson. Enough of that. So yeah, what I'm planning on doing is gluing this one back together, and you know, taking care of any little cracks like that one up there if I need to. And then of course these ones down here. So I need to have 7.5 feet out of each one of these, and these planks are about 9, 10 maybe feet long, so I shouldn't have a problem getting that. And then once I get these cracks dealt with, so they don't you know, splinter out real bad on me or whatever, then I'll cut them in half, and then I'm going to 45 the cuts lengthwise. So here's the board. The 45 will be on one of these sides here, going down. This other side will be square. The 45s will line up to 45s, and this is what I've decided to use for my bottom side of the beam, as I really like this one. It's got a lot of characteristics, but my favorites when I get up here and it just starts looking really gnarly. This is like I showed you on that beam before, if you'd watched that video. Well, I can show you again, but where it had bark on it. It was just a cut that was that close to the edge of the tree, where this was still bark. And so after they cut it and cut it for board, it still had that part on there, and I like that. I think it makes it look like, you know, really like a beam. So, but there's some bark on the edge of this, you know, like another beam. That's a real beam that's happened on. You know, most of our beams have some of that. Here's some bark. Some of it's peeled off down there. I mean, again, here's some bark peeled off. So this is a big white barn here in Tennessee that was just made by a bunch of, you know, rough cut lumber, I guess, that was milled up on site, or I don't even know. I'm sure it has a cool story behind it. I can't remember it though. But yeah, so we go with those 2 big wide planks for my sides. I'll get 4 pieces out of those. And then I got these 2 pieces here for my bottom. And since they're gonna run into walls on either side, I don't need to worry about capping the ends. But I'm gonna get started with this, at least gluing them up right now. Maybe I'll get some planing done tonight too. Gotta check them really good, because they have been used for construction in a barn. And I really don't want to tear up my planer, but it has had nails in it before, so that's a really good planer. I hate to tear it up. Anyway, all right, thanks for watching. Catch you later.